This one's for all my therapy friends, coaching friends, and business owners. Wow. I learned so much recording this episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Pulling Threads, the show where we explore how to weave mind, body, and soul into a life that feels aligned, authentic, and free. I'm your host, Leslie Mathews, therapist, coach, and the founder of The Loom Life. Today's conversation is one I've been really looking forward to. We're diving into the future of therapy, coaching, and the powerful intersection of AI and human connection. So, this is an episode geared toward my fellow therapists, coaches, colleagues, and my guest is Dr. Stephanie Thrower. She's a psychologist, a coach, and a visionary behind AI Tools for Change. She's been helping therapists and coaches build AI tools that generate revenue, attract ideal clients, and create financial freedom without burnout. Does that sound right, Stephanie?
Sounds great. It sounds great.
Great. Stephanie is passionate about empowering healers to use the technology, not as a replacement for human connection, because we know that doesn't work, but as a bridge to reach more people and expand impact, which I think myself and many of our colleagues are excited about and kind of excited to explore this with you today, Stephanie, and find out more about what you're doing. Um, you have a really interesting professional path from psychologist to coach and now like a thought leader in the AI space. Can you share about your journey and how you got there?
Really? Yeah. I know it's funny. I remember interviewing even a while ago for, like internship jobs and people looking at my resume and being like, this is really interesting. So this is not a new thing of me. I have all kinds of different job experiences. And I think that's probably what led me to becoming a vocational psychologist. And I got traditional training in actually doing like paper pen assessments in the VA when I was an intern and just kind of loved it. Fell in love with talking to people about their jobs and why their personalities match with certain jobs. And so when I left the VA, I continued to do those assessments. My private practice is at the intersection of maternal mental health and career, which is
Okay.
not talked about a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
not definitely under, I don't know, researched and
Mhm.
discussed, but
Yes.
yeah. But I was still doing those kinds of assessments because I just loved them. I nerded out on them. And then I also knew at the same time I wanted to grow something outside of therapy. Wasn't sure if it wanted to be vocational or just some other kind of coaching. So I did a lot of niche. I wouldn't say hopping, but like niche exploring.
That's what I was going to say. Exploration. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And at one point, I actually started to do those like what I was doing at the time was email assessments for vocation.
Okay.
And I at one point created a way to analyze those results with AI. And it was very powerful. And I've had my clients, it's not really like clinically focused, it's much more vocationally focused, but it's so much data
Yeah.
and it results in these super powerful results. So that while
That's
I
amazing.
was also kind of niche exploring, I started to create a lot of courses using AI. The first course I made, I didn't use AI, and it was a real slog. And then I started to use AI tools and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Right.
this is not just faster, but more powerful." I think improves the learning of students so much more and engagement. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of how do we use these AI tools to get people kind of those like mind blown moments
Yeah.
of like, that is like what's going on with me.
Right. Right. It's amazing how accurate it can be. It's like, it is mind blowing, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so exploring in all these different spaces and learning how to kind of like shape the parameters of the tools has been really fun. And I'm also a researcher. and haven't gotten a chance to do qualitative research, since I did my dissertation. And
Yeah.
I think jumping back in to this space, I was like, oh, just turned on a huge light. And
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
I totally get that. I have done my share of research, and I don't have a PhD, but I worked in research at WashU for a while, and I'm much like you. Like when people look at my resume, they're like, "Wait, how did you get from speech pathologist, brain injury person to lawyer to photographer to therapist?" And I'm like, "Well, it's all come together now because I'm doing a lot of work with all of those things, which is so interesting." But I want to jump back to the work you did with maternal and career. I mean, that fascinates me. And I feel like we could probably do a whole nother podcast episode about that and tie in the AI because I work with a lot of women who are going through divorce, some on their own, like voluntarily, they wanted it, and some it's very surprising, but a lot of them are stay-at-home moms or were stay-at-home moms. So figuring out um, how to go back to work, doing what they were doing before, but most of the time they actually want to recreate themselves. Maybe they gave up their career. So that's a whole nother side conversation that you and I should have. And I would love to know if you anticipate building any tools for them, because I feel like the people that I work with are somewhat lost, but they're so open to new ideas. And I think AI could really help them navigate that period in their life where they're looking for direction. So, just a side note.
well, yeah. And it's like, it's actually a great example of how I work with people to build tools that are like specific to their people, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, I use it's very cool too because I can build those tools on the fly sometimes.
Right.
So, I have some people who get paid work outside of their house, and I have some people who are stay-at-home moms, right? And they are socialized to not value any of the labor they've done,
Yeah.
even though they have 4 kids, and it's wild, as you might know, right?
Right.
Mm. So I have built like little side hustle assessments, right?
Yep.
Which have worked both for people who with high powered careers who actually start to build their side hustle and either it launches into something more substantial
Yep.
or they realize they like their W-2 because
Yeah.
it doesn't like you when you described all the different things you have done, your vocational profile is all over the place, right?
Right.
Like, you're
Right.
you have all these different professional personalities, which
Yeah.
is cool, but what ends up happening is it's hard to feel integrated, and I
hmm
think that that is because we're like, I don't know, our conception of career is so still in the '50s. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure.
Yes. But it's being forced to change, and the younger generations are doing it totally different. But yeah. Yeah.
It totally yeah, like, the loyalty piece is such a thing. Mm.
Yeah, people are
Yeah.
actually for the longest time, I felt shame around having multiple master's degrees and a doctorate degree, like, shame. Because when I would tell people, they would make an assumption, or I felt like they were making an assumption that I wasn't ever committing to something. When in actuality, like, I I am very passionate about all the things I've done in the past, and I still actually love the trauma piece, and the brain injury piece is still a big has been carried over into my trauma work now with clients. So, I never lost interest. I just had interest in so many different things. And you're right. Like, I didn't know how to market myself or put it all together to say, this is actually really great that I have all of this experience and all of these areas of expertise. I felt shame around it because of the loyalty piece and the commitment piece. So yeah, it's it's all come together, but I've had to figure it out on my own. And I think I could have used help navigating that.
Totally. I think for a lot of women, our career stories are super underdeveloped. And I
Mhm.
think that's also why I love working in the entrepreneur space because people will fail.
Yeah.
I don't know. it will be very hard if they don't understand some of their strengths and challenges,
Hmm.
right? Like, so when I think about people's vocational profile, like, I might not be as good in, like, the detail-oriented, like,
Yeah.
some of the says. And so it's helpful for me to know that so that I can, like, get support or make sure that AI comes in that space, right?
Right.
Some people, it's like the technology, other people, it's like the creative aspects and, like, understanding how being an entrepreneur requires so much from us from a vocational standpoint. And
Yes.
yeah, it can feel really isolating to have to figure that out by yourself.
Yes. Yes. I can totally relate to that too. I think coming into, because my therapy and coaching practice is somewhat new, but because I had the photography background, like creating the podcast and understanding, and I use AI a lot to help me with all of it, every piece of it. But I had to figure that all out on my own. So part of what you do is helping people like me figure out how to maximize the use of AI. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I help people build things, but I also help them sell things.
Okay.
Because I think that or market and sell, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we can create all these exciting tools outside of one-to-one therapy. And then, but then we are not like the marketing game outside of therapy is very high level,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
like marketing and therapy has become much more advanced in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But then once we step outside of that therapy space, marketing and selling is a whole other level that goes against a lot of our training. And
Yes.
so I utilize AI and really just like my sports psychology background to be like, you can do this, like good to be courageous.
Yeah.
If your entrepreneurial bug is just asking you to move forward, then we can find a way around some of these challenges.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Was there one specific thing that inspired you to start the AI tools for change? Or was there a specific moment when you realized that this could really revolutionize how therapists and coaches serve and market themselves and work?
Yeah, I think that it was probably well, it's funny. I had my 3rd child last year at some point, and I knew when I had my 2nd child, I was like, I want to build something outside of one-to-one therapy for myself. And I just knew I needed some more freedom. I think the mental load with 3 kids is just
It's a lot.
like your face is the perfect. Yeah, it's like to articulate what it is, like, when I just the being kind of there with everyone's brains in the house, I'm like, "How do you keep up with all?"
Right, right. It's
It's
madness.
yeah, and so with caregiving and being a therapist, I was like, "I just need some other way to earn money," and so that journey, I was very driven to figure that out, but also, like, couldn't land in that, like, gut feeling of like, "Oh,
Mm,
yeah, this is where I'm meant to be."
yeah.
And but the process of, like, using AI to explore that was super empowering, right?
Yeah.
Because I got to test things quickly. I got to create a slide deck and record it and put it up and, like, it just helped me move through the process quicker.
Yep.
So I built my first course without AI, and like I said, it was a slog, and then the second time I was like, I don't even know after I had my baby, I was like, I don't even know if I would ever not have AI tools in my course again,
Right.
because I don't think lecture learning is really gonna be the future.
I agree. I agree.
And I also just think people's attention
Mhm.
is just like it's really hard to keep drawing people's attention. If people listen to me talk for 5 minutes, I'm like, "This is golden."
Yeah.
Right?
I find that too. Even with the podcast, like, you have to keep it short because people are probably gonna listen to it in the car ride driving somewhere, and then when they arrive there, they're gonna get off. So, if you wanna get the message through, like, make it short.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta have some quick edits, right? So I think in this idea of I love the idea so after I had my 3rd baby, I was like, "Yeah, I really want AI integrated in everything." And I think I was like, "Maybe this is just about AI," right?
Mhm.
I mean, ultimately, I still am always gonna have that vocational process of helping people really, like, dream big and not just dream big, but like, okay, awesome. How do we actually like break that down into goals
Yeah.
and go towards that direction? But how do we do it in an innovative way? I
Mhm.
don't know. Something about that is really inspiring to me.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
I think a lot of therapists worry that AI could like depersonalize the healing work, but what you're doing is creating tools for the therapists that are enhancing, not replacing the connection during therapy or during their coaching sessions, right?
totally. Because I'm not a developer and I haven't trained a large language model myself, I would not create any AI tools for clinical use.
Mm,
So, I think I could design them, like, conceptually.
yeah.
I don't know, I just, like, have even created some things to support myself, like, if I have a family member who might need a certain diagnosis, how might I respond back via text, right? Like
Yeah.
but, of course, that tool is like, that kind of thing, if I had made it, would be just for me, a
Right.
licensed person, where I could be like, "That's not a good way," right?
Yeah.
Like, to that's
Yeah.
bad advice,
Right.
but
Right.
I would
Because
never
you have the training to know if it's good or bad advice, right?
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other layer that's not discussed as much in our space is, like, how do we maintain privacy? How do
Hmm.
we like, we trust a lot in our EHRs,
Yep.
but there's so much to, like, privacy and online, and we oftentimes, of course, don't have the education to what that really means from,
Right.
like, a technological standpoint.
Yep.
So, I think that there's some really important, like, responsibilities for us to stay in touch with what our ethics boards are saying
Hmm.
and how they're trying to, like, keep up, how the legal and ethics boards are trying
Right.
to.
Right.
So, I don't create these tools for clients. I only have what I call, like, when I do create documents or journals, they're pretty much Google Docs with some prompts or a GPT that analyzes the data,
Hmm.
but it's non-clinical
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
and so it's very focused on the career piece,
Okay.
and I educate them about privacy as well. So, I often I'm much I feel like I can be a lot more creative in creating tools for coaches or people outside of the one-to-one therapy,
Hmm.
and still be mindful of, like, how might someone consider this to be therapeutic or treating any kind of medical condition,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I have a friend who created an AI tool that is, I would say, more spiritual. It's a heart led tool and it's extremely powerful, but I could see it like in the hands of someone who's really vulnerable, uh, just being asked too much, right? So you almost have to make a huge disclaimer like, this is just for to help guide you through your practice. And it really does just ask you the right questions. I've used it a lot and I enjoy it. But as far as actual therapy clients who have a diagnosis or who are really struggling with past traumas, like I just wouldn't trust an AI tool yet to, I mean, they're trained to tell you what you want to hear. So I think it's a slippery slope that we don't want to go down. What you're doing is really teaching therapists either how to build or you're helping them build tools to help them generate revenue, marketing tools. What's an example, other example of something that you're doing that might be interesting for our listeners to like hear about?
Totally. Yeah, so we in the AI content gym, we are training our AI on us and our AI on and ourselves actually in our own content habit. And so that is a membership where we use assessment tools. Like I ask people a ton of questions. They're patient with me to like respond with the purpose of ending up with this awesome, huge brand and voice guide. And so this document is like very thorough in helping us understand our marketing language.
Hmm.
That document can be uploaded into any purpose of like when you want to be writing content for yourself. So, content, we are sort of like at a point when we're in marketing, the consistency is so key,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
it's also not something we often budget for.
Right. Right.
Just like mentally, but even time-wise, right? And so in the content gym, we'll batch a bunch of content for the following month, but we have a system that helps us create long format content. So I have a system where I do voice memos when I go for a walk, and that gets transformed into a nice, hearty blog post that I can
Oh,
do
I
easy.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Do you sell that on your website or is it just
Yeah.
for you?
No, so I actually help people build that system
Okay.
for them. So it like lives in their AI,
Yep.
and then they move through that process every week, and then we talk about how we want to like do some visual branding or keep it, because I think it would be really cool to have more of us on Substack. Of course, like that will improve our SEO from a therapist standpoint, but also like help us be primed as thought leaders in this space.
Yeah.
And I think for many of us, we have committed so much years to caring for either our families or other people.
Yeah.
It's it's not allowed, it doesn't give us a lot of space to actually be out there with our voices and opinions. And it's too bad because we have a lot of experience, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question that could be controversial for you or out of your scope or something you don't believe in, but I'm going to ask anyway because I'm curious. So I love human design. Have you heard of human design? Is it something, do you know much about? Like, do you know your design or anything like that?
I don't know it, but I
Okay.
know about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's human design and astrology. Like, if you dive really deep into them, there are, there's the idea that you're designed to kind of communicate a certain way. So I've been really thinking about, and maybe this is something that you could end up helping me with, designing my own AI tool that knows my human design and my best means of communication based on my human design. So is that something that I could create? Like you could help me create so that anything I'm using in my marketing tools, because in human design, the theory would be if I'm communicating the way that I'm designed to, then I'm going to be more authentic and I'm going to be more magnetic and attract my ideal client and people who like me, right? Um, so is that the kind of tool that you could help someone create?
Really? Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
like
I
that?
mean, I
I'm
would,
like, I'm getting excited. I'm like, oh,
oh my
please
gosh, I
tell me
love
your
it.
money.
No, and I think that so these are like if I go back to the assessments that I use like from the beginning, like the paper pencil, right?
Hmm.
All of them are like theory based.
Yeah.
And so I kind of call them both quantitative, which they kind of are, and
Yeah.
qualitative measures.
Yeah.
So the qualitative measures are just questions where I like help people. I ask people to tell me stories, and then the AI helps summarize the values
Mm.
that we see from the stories.
Oh, I
The
love that.
quantitative stuff is like your Myers Briggs.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've ever taken the 4 tendencies quiz.
I have.
There's the Enneagram.
Hmm.
And so human design like fits very well in, and
Yeah.
so I use that that traditional psychologist assessment framework of like I'm going to use a battery of assessments to learn who you are,
Hmm.
but not just because we can get amazing results from it, but also because we can teach your AI to sound like you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I
Which
love that.
man, 'cause I've had people be like, "That's creepy." And I'm like, "It's a it's sufficient."
No, it's not creepy at all. It makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, I
Um,
think yeah, I think that when I do this in the like, either with people who have W-2s or entrepreneurs, we get this rich picture, and
mhm,
sometimes sometimes their AI account will be like, "Well, because your score was this and this, I actually think you should do that."
yeah,
And that can be a really powerful moment to be like, "Oh, like, something with fit."
yeah,
Because that's really, like, so
yeah,
much of the vocational thing is, like, we have a fit problem.
right, right.
And I think sometimes in entrepreneurship, we see who's successful, which sometimes just means, like, who has the most fierce marketing or,
Yep,
like, sometimes most masculine approach to what success is, and it kinda shapes everything
mhm,
as opposed to being like, "Hey, like, we can be flexible, we can create a different vision for what your success looks like,"
yeah,
right?
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I've trained a couple AI bots, and I put in my human design, so it will say, "This aligns perfectly with your Pisces and your, manifester energy," and I'm like, "Yes." But I also put in a lot of the tools that I use with clients, like I've uploaded a lot of information about EMDR and the principles behind EMDR, as well as IFS, because those are the things that I use to work with clients, and there's something that I really believe in. So I love it when I'm asking it for things, it brings up parts. So it's so powerful. Like you can really put so much information in, but I haven't used like my psychological battery like tools. So I'm really curious about that and excited to hear that.
It can be very powerful, and I think ultimately what I do teach people is to, like, shift their mindset about leading technology
Hmm.
because, like, I was taught in the Oregon Trail, Carmen Sandiego, and paint, if you remember those
Yeah.
things, like,
Yeah.
those were all if you were good at learning those things, it was because you learned rules quick and you learned how
Hmm.
to, like, color within the lines.
Yep.
Literally with paint, it was like the boxes, right? The little pixels that you would create.
Yep.
And there's something super counterintuitive to working with AI that I think we have to shift as fast as we can to be like, but what do I want from this
Yeah.
session? What
Yeah.
do I want? Like, what do I want to design? And I, encourage people to like close the laptop, walk away, rethink this because like, even if you go and you did record an audio and then it shapes your article in a way and it just you keep fighting with it, which I'm sure everyone has had those fighting moments with AI,
Yep.
like, we're trying to stay in the leadership seat is really important as we
Right.
build and design anything with
Yeah.
AI, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I mean, ultimately, your goal, I think your tagline says like attracting ideal clients on autopilot. So it's aligned marketing that's authentic in your voice, right? That's what your goal is for your clients and what they're building.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you always have, like, those secret goals in there for your clients, and I think the ones that they can relate to and speak to is this desire to, like, to be like, "I know I can do this work. I
Mhm,
know I can support people. I just don't feel confident that I can get people to become my clients."
mhm.
And that is very much where many of us are at,
Yep.
in these early stages of developing our business.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting time that, like, there's such an entrepreneurial burst, I think, in the field,
Yeah.
but, yeah, you can get caught scrolling other people's success and be like, "I can't do this," you
Right.
know?
And it is difficult, I think, as a therapist and a coach and a person who came into this work really motivated to help people based on my own experience, based on what I see other people going through. Like, I'm here to serve. But in order to serve, we have to build a business. And the business side and the sales side is really hard, like really hard because it's so counterintuitive for, at least for me. Like it's a definite, I've had my own mindset block with the sales and being sold too, especially on social media. You're constantly like, oh, I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to sell that to them. So what we want is to show up in a way and market ourselves in a way that people can see who we are and they'll come to us. But it's it's really, really hard, I think. Um, do you see that kind of mindset issue in a lot of therapists and coaches?
Really. I relate to that. I think that we talk a lot about being super undereducated in marketing and like to be just like what it even means. And so I've found a lot of comfort from reading like Seth Godin's work, who talks a lot about, you can't really change the world without marketing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think and this idea of the generous act of being out there and being seen,
I love
which
that.
we're totally going to fight with. I think that there's been periods of my coaching investment where I'm like, I almost need exposure therapy to like be out there
Yes.
because it's sweaty, it's anxious, your own apologetic or shame vibe about what am I doing out there, right? Like
Yeah.
it just
Oh, yeah.
feel, but like I feel confident every time I talk to my clients being like, "No, I want you to be a wealthy woman." Like, I did like that. I'm here for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and to put that back on myself has been hard, right? Even though
Hmm.
that like, when I say that to my clients, I don't mean like just these dollar signs, right? I just
Yeah.
mean like the richness of their dreams that they want to come true. They want to be in alignment with their values. Like, they gotta talk about money. They gotta talk about the stuff that comes up with money, no matter what kind of work we're talking about.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so I think, yeah, I think there's just a lot of sneaky money wounds like embedded in marketing and
Yes.
sales that really color it. And also like some really bad sales experiences.
Hmm. Yes.
Like I feel like I had a sales call recently that was actually so pleasant, but he wasted like 45 minutes of mine, and it was during dinner, and it
Mhm.
was like, you know what it's like in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like fo and I got coverage, it was fine, but I kind of, like, cried by the end of it because it was just like, "You just took me through this journey I don't care about. I know you're not the right fit for me right now. You might be later,
Right.
but, like, I that's not empathy, right? Like,
Right. Right.
taking my time is not empathy."
Right. No. No. Yeah, I've had some really aggressive, I'm gonna use the word aggressive because I feel like it was coaches, like coaching coaches seek out my time online, and I don't know, it there is a line you cross and then it just feels yuck, right? And I don't want anything to do with it. But at the same time, there are so many coaches out there like you, like, and who are trying to help us, help therapists, help coaches. And we need that. Like, we need it. So it's very tricky. It's very,
Yeah.
very tricky. And you're right. Like, there are so many wounds around money and around success and around showing up and even just doing this podcast. It took me a lot longer than I would like to admit to start, even though I knew I wanted to do it a long time ago. But I knew there were wounds, and I was like, okay, in my therapy, we got to work on this if I'm going to get my voice out. So, and I have been really fortunate to have what I call expanders, like people who are doing things and they're wonderful people and they're doing it authentically and they don't mind charging what they're worth. And so I take that in like, okay, this person's doing this and they're providing an invaluable service to me. I would never question what they're charging or how they're marketing themselves. So I shouldn't be doing that to myself. So, That's what
Yeah.
we have to do.
Yeah, I think taking in the lessons of, like, how you perceive your people or the people that you're following and trying to, like, it doesn't feel like it's like the shoes, like, don't fit at first, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, "Let's try it." You might need a couple of hours with these shoes, and
Mhm. Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
How do you feel the resistance to technology is? Are we getting past that, or are there people who are really resistant to trying to learn to do this on their own?
I think I think I am concerned about particularly, like, people in our field who've had a lot of experience working with people who don't understand how powerful AI is
Mhm.
and how useful it can be just because they haven't done enough practicing, right?
Yeah,
And I think that it sort of just I'm afraid that it's gonna leave us on the side
yeah.
at time, right? And that it's like, I think the way that the the energy issues that are involved with training these AI tools, like the environmental pieces are significant and important, but they're
Right.
also extremely complicated in the picture of like all of our technology. And it doesn't mean to not like to take it lightly,
Yeah.
but I think sitting on the sidelines and just like only criticizing it might be a disadvantage to our field in particular.
Mhm.
And yeah, and it's kind of it's wild. Like I have AI notes for my therapy. I get consent from I talk about it with my clients.
Yep.
And but it's wild to see those session notes like mirrored back at you after years of doing work as a therapist to be like, "Oh yeah, I was doing that, wasn't I?" Right? like
Right, right.
like I remember in grad school like, transcribing sessions.
Mhm.
I transcribed my dissertation, like,
Yep.
all of the participants. It's just we're in a whole different world,
Whole
and
different.
so gently working our way into approaching it without and I think there's so many other, like, profiles I'm noticing, like, there's, like, complete avoidance, but then there's also, like, giving AI too much credit
Right?
sometimes.
Yes.
There or maybe thinking like, I would never say I know everything about AI because I don't. But like, there's so much to know, and so
Mhm.
I think they're like, very confident about where they're at, and I'm like, the experts are very clear that they're not experts, you know?
Right. It's moving so quickly, it's advancing itself, so there's no way to know everything because what you knew yesterday is probably not even true for today.
Yeah, so really just encouraging people to experiment, like, get their little field notes attitude out, right? And their
Yep.
energy of being like, "I'm gonna experiment and see what happens,"
Yeah.
because I think for those like, the reality is these tools, these psychological tools are being built by non-therapists and people who have
Mhm.
never worked with people ever,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like, people are in touch with me who are just, like, have nothing to do with mental health and are, like, building software, right?
Yeah.
AI software for therapy.
Yep.
And, like, so it would be very beneficial for us to have a seat at the table and to talk about, like, even just simply, like, when like, just the fatigue and overload of AI outputs,
Yeah.
right? Part of why I don't build apps as much is because I find I find it way too fast for ourselves to, like, respond. We need space
Yeah.
to think about, to have an
Mhm.
answer. We need,
Yep.
like, to be able to process information, not at the rate that the computer processes it, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, we lose our mindfulness if we're just soaring through. Yeah. I have felt that in some programs I've been in where they're helping you come up with marketing materials. And I'm like, I don't even know what it made. And I just created all of this stuff and I'm never going to revisit it all because it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah,
It's
to
a lot.
have and I to, like have the hat. Sometimes I have to like have that intentional hat of like, I am going to learn from AI right now. Like
Mhm.
I'm literally asking, I'm like having the learning hat
Yep.
versus have the building hat versus I have the editing hat, right? Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like that. I like that. Shifting gears a little bit into the future, like if you could look 5 years into the future, what do you imagine like therapy and coaching practices look like? Like, what does a practice look like? Meaning my coaching practice with the help of AI tools, automation, virtual assistants, like what kind of things do you see coming?
man, what a good question. I think that because things are moving so fast, I'm like, it's going to be flying cars, right?
Yep.
Which I feel like that was like a thing that I said when we were like Back to the Future.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I feel like we're flying. I think we're in an interesting time where ChatGPT, Gemini, all of these like tools that we're using are really open-ended. And prior to now, we'd had a lot of like nice, neat, clean user face, right?
Yep.
Where we haven't had as much freedom ourselves to build. And I do wonder like at the speed that everything is going, more and more products for us are going to be built for us so
Hmm.
that you don't do you learn how to use the AI very
Yep.
much. And that's kind of why I think this is a very cool time to jump in and start seeing what you can build
Yeah.
first so that when you do like interface with certain software, you're like, I don't think this is going to be for me. So, like in
Right.
the coaching space, I'm sure we're going to be integrating something that looks more like an EHR
Yep.
but in the coach but, like, actually for coaches that's
Yeah.
not necessarily maybe confidential, but not, HIPAA compliant, so that we have more, like, capacity and support in the marketing space
Yeah.
and also in the client delivery
Right.
process. So we
Right.
have really powerful CRMs right now,
Hmm.
but it will only get probably more advanced.
Yeah.
So you can do more stuff individually or independently, and you can create your own apps just by talking to your computer, right?
Yes. I'm looking forward to that. And I would like it if I could just tell my CRM what to do. It would just do it. So if
We're not
we can get to that space quickly, that would be great.
Yes, totally. And visual design will improve over time,
Mhm.
probably within the next year or so,
Yeah.
like it already is.
Yes.
Google just their most recent Nano Banana like creates text really well. So
Hmm.
I think we're going to be shifting away from marketing materials or like educational materials where you're like dragging and dropping in Canva.
Yep.
Wait, see all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it's going to be about like, what's your true value in any of these businesses?
Yeah.
So if any of this technology could replace you, it will.
Yep.
It's thinking about like what do you do that's very special?
Yeah.
In therapy, I think it's very different. Is it very different? To some extent, it's different in that you're bearing witness to someone's like suffering that's
Yeah.
legit, right?
Right.
And very serious. And people are very good at detecting what is not human and what is false and fake.
Hmm.
And
Yes. Especially young people. My kids are like, Mom, that's AI. I'm like, how do you know?
and like almost I think about that like from a therapist standpoint. Like even if you go and sit with a therapist that just feels off or fake
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
I'm doing work with this person,
Yeah. You
right?
can tell right away. You can tell right
So
away.
I think authenticity or whatever that is that we have in our human way that clicks with people, like, that's an essential ingredient,
Yep.
and in coaching as well, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're almost done, but I want to ask you more on a personal note, like as a psychologist, a coach, as a mom who's very busy and uh, has the challenge of raising kids and having a successful career and all this. Like, how has embracing AI changed your personal relationship with your own, like creativity, your sense of purpose, and just your day-to-day rhythm?
I think that I'm in like a totally frenetic time of life for sure because I've got little kids, like little littles. And so I think that there's some like extremes of being super inspired, right? And being like, oh my gosh, I wish I could go and do this app and build this thing, right?
Yeah.
And being like, I have no time to sit at a laptop.
Right. Right. Oh, I feel that all the every day. Every day.
Ex- yeah. Like this isn't I need less laptop work and only phone work, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Um but I think that the reality is, given how I want to be as a mom in my family right now, AI allows me to have a coaching business. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. I can create content, I can share my ideas pretty easily. I can be consistent, and that is like I think that there's a part I wrote an article about like how sometimes it just feels like I'm cheating all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reality is, like, I have to find a way to, like, sneak these things in because when you're in that building process, that's the reality is,
Yeah.
like, you have to find time, and that's hopefully not, like, between 9 PM and 5 AM, right?
Right.
That you can actually, like, get some of that thought leadership out or get some of those tools built, and so I talk to Claude a lot, I talk to ChatGPT a lot, and kind of am rolling with it. So it just kind of allows, I think, for a lot of moms, it allows us to like be in the game when we otherwise wouldn't have been able to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish I had something like this when my kids were little because I did take a break. I had to take a break from work because it was just too much to do everything. So I love that. It's amazing. Stephanie, this conversation has been so inspiring,
Yeah.
and I have many more questions, which we'll probably have to discuss offline. Or maybe we'll have another conversation in the future. But
Sure.
I love how you're blending technology and allowing people to use it to show up authentically and with their purpose. Like, I just love that. So I think many of us in the helping professions feel so much tension between wanting to reach more people and not wanting to lose our personal touch. And what you're doing and how you're helping coaches and therapists is that you're showing them how they can coexist in both ways. So for listeners who want to connect with you and or join your AI tools for change community or learn more about your programs, we'll have all of the links in the show notes, but you want to tell us kind of quickly where your website is and your Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. So my website is coachingwithdrthrower.com, has some information about the couple of programs that I do. I also have a Facebook group called AI Tools for Therapists and Coaches. And I have an Instagram that's AI Tools for Changemakers. And yeah, and you can find me on any of those places. And it would be awesome to connect, talk. I'd love to hear about I think one of the things I love the most is people being like, "I have this idea for a thing. Like, is it possible?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, let's do it."
Love that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing all this wisdom with our community and for everyone listening. If this episode sparked something for you, please share it. Tag us on Instagram at the Loom Life. Let us know what resonated most. Until next time, keep pulling the threads of your own healing and alignments and weaving a life that feels like your truest self. Thank you so much again, Stephanie.
Thank you.